It is late October 1914. In the Indian Ocean, a lone light cruiser was sailing away from his adversaries. Its captain, Korvettenkapitän Karl von Müller, had just completed a raid on the Allied harbour at Penang, sinking a Russian warship and a French destroyer. However, time was running out for his ship as Allied vessels were dispatched to hunt him down. Despite this pursuit, von Müller charted a course for the Cocos Islands. The noose was tightening, and the Emden's hourglass was rapidly draining. I've been navigating the seas of World of Warships for a while now. It is free to play with monthly updates, over 500 historically accurate vessels across 10 nations, and large 12 versus 12 multiplayer arenas. The game's immersive strategy and gameplay are unlike anything I've seen before. The game's graphics are top-notch, with over 40 updated maps boasting stunning water effects. Choose from various ship classes, from mighty battleships to agile destroyers, and now even submarines. Whether you prefer solo missions or forming divisions with friends, camaraderie is key in naval warfare. And with an active community of millions of players, there's never a shortage of rivals to challenge or allies to team up with. Plus, with a 4-week release cycle delivering new content, missions, and events, the excitement never wanes. Use our invite code BRAVO for a treasure trove of rewards, including 7 days of premium account time, 1,500,000 credits, 500 doubloons, and your choice of a powerful ship. Embark on your naval adventure today. Click the link in the description for more info and discounts. Fair winds and following seas, captains. In the waning months of 1914, the Allies found themselves grappling with a threat to its maritime lifelines. 2 elusive German cruisers haunting the Indian Ocean. While SMS Königsberg had achieved moderate success in disrupting trade near Aden before being trapped in German East Africa, the second cruiser, Emden, commanded by von Müller, posed a greater challenge. In a span of just 2 months, Müller had captured or sunk over a dozen Allied steamers, a Russian cruiser, and a French destroyer. This relentless campaign led to a cascade of consequences, a distraction that drew most available Allied warships into the hunt for Emden, escalating insurance rates, soaring commodity prices, and a cautious grounding of shipping activities in ports. Emden's most disruptive achievement was the raid on Penang harbour. She sank the Russian Jemchug and French destroyer Mousquet. Despite a brief engagement with the Pistolet and Fronde, the Emden evaded pursuit. The Allies, still reeling from the assault, acknowledged the fortuitous escape of their unprepared vessels in the harbour. Additional warships were dispatched from far and wide to track her down, among them the light cruiser Gloucester from the Mediterranean and the Dartmouth and Weymouth from East Africa. For Australian authorities, a deeper concern loomed: the safety of the first contingent of Australian and New Zealand troops awaiting transport to the European theatre. Amid initial delays, stemming from apprehensions about the presence of German warships in the Pacific, the 28 Australian transport ships began assembling at Albany in the final week of October. There they awaited the arrival of 10 New Zealand transports and 4 warships, dispatched by the British Admiralty to provide a crucial escort. Convoy 1, bearing 21,528 men and 7,882 horses, finally set sail on the morning of November 1st. Unaware of the Australian convoy's existence, but cognizant of the mounting search efforts against him, Captain von Müller pivoted towards the remote Cocos Islands. He aimed not only to damage the cable and wireless station, but also to divert English cruisers away from the Indian Ocean, where he planned to raid the routes between Aden and India. On the night of November 8th, von Müller's Emden intersected Convoy 1's course less than 40 miles ahead, heading to Direction Island the following morning. At 5:50 a.m. she arrived. Employing a deceptive measure, Emden hoisted a false fourth funnel in an attempt to masquerade as a British cruiser. However, the vigilant superintendent Darcy Farrant of the Eastern Telegraph Company, alert to the threat, promptly broadcasted a warning upon sighting the Emden. The 50-strong armed landing party, led by Emden's First Lieutenant Helmuth von Mucke, swiftly initiated their tasks upon reaching Direction Island of the Cocos Islands. Their primary objectives included disabling the wireless telegraph station, cutting the cable to Perth, and causing other disruptions. In a meticulous operation lasting around 2.5 hours, the landing party destroyed electrical machinery, motor engines, switchboards, and telegraph houses. Von Mucke personally attended to cutting the cable to Perth, while the wireless mast and spare cables were also targeted. Approximately 50 miles to the north, HMAS Melbourne, the lead ship of the convoy escort, intercepted the distress call just after 6:30. Its captain, M.L. Silver, immediately took action, expecting either the Emden or the Königsberg. The captain directed the closest escort, HMS Sydney, to prepare for full speed towards Cocos and investigate the unfolding situation. Under the command of Captain John Glossop, HMS Sydney held a decisive advantage over the German cruiser Emden. Being slightly more modern, Sydney, a Chatham-class cruiser, boasted a larger tonnage, longer length, and heavier armament, including 8 6-inch guns. In contrast, Emden, a Dresden-class cruiser, was smaller with 10 4.1-inch guns. Sydney arrived at around 9 a.m. A miscalculation by Glossop and British naval authorities regarding the effective range of the German 4.1-inch naval guns allowed Emden to make the first hits of the battle just after 9:40. Sydney reported engaging the Emden in a fierce duel at a distance of 8,700 meters, lasting for an hour and a half. Maintaining a calculated distance, Glossop skillfully used Sydney's superior speed and heavier weaponry. Emden managed only a handful of hits, and as Sydney's gunnery prowess took its toll, the German cruiser's firepower waned. The Emden suffered severe damage, losing funnels, masts, and catching fire. Von Müller acknowledged Sydney's fire superiority, and with the Emden's steering gear malfunctioning and serious casualties among the gun crews, the prospect of reaching torpedo range dwindled. By 11 o'clock, only one German gun remained operational, and Sydney's relentless barrage ignited a fierce fire on Emden's aft, causing the vessel to succumb under the onslaught. Incapable of retaliation and striving to preserve lives, Captain von Müller gave it his all to steer Emden toward North Keeling Island. At 11:20, Emden was grounded near the island. After disengaging from Emden, Sydney pursued its collier, SS Buresk, which had entered the fray. Sydney fired its guns at Buresk, forcing it to stop. Glossop could not prevent Buresk's crew from scuttling their vessel as they abandoned ship. Glossop picked up all sailors from the Buresk before turning his vessel around once again. Returning to Emden at 16 o'clock, Glossop was surprised to find the German ensign still flying. Following an inconclusive exchange of signals, he reluctantly fired 2 more salvos. The Imperial ensign was hastily lowered, and the Germans displayed a white sheet on the quarterdeck. He sent a small boat with a letter. The letter politely requested the surrender due to Emden's compromised state, emphasizing the dire circumstances ashore and the intact condition of the sender's vessel, promising humane treatment for the sick and wounded upon compliance. Due to his obligation to check the situation at Direction Island first, Glossop couldn't offer assistance to the German survivors until the following morning. He would soon find out that all Brits on the island were safe, and the German landing party hid on the island, preparing a rather unconventional journey home. Emden, with a crew of 316, suffered 134 fatalities and 65 wounded in the battle. Sydney incurred 4 fatalities and over a dozen injuries. Von Müller, along with the surviving crew, was taken aboard the Sydney. The Sydney then proceeded to Colombo with the prisoners and wounded. Despite the initial delay, the compassionate care extended to the German wounded by the Australians played a crucial role in diffusing animosity. During the rare opportunity for close association in the days following the battle, officers from both ships concluded that their duty was to engage in combat, but no malice was harbored. Glossop, showing respect, allowed the German officers to retain their swords and took great care not to offend their sensibilities. However, the news of the battle was met with unrestrained jubilation elsewhere. The demise of the Emden marked the conclusion of its audacious 3-month raiding campaign in the Indian Ocean. Von Müller's chivalrous conduct and raiding achievements earned him the Iron Cross First Class. The Odyssey continued for Kapitänleutnant von Mucke, the Emden's first officer, and his landing party. They escaped on the schooner Aisha, sailed to Padang in the Dutch East Indies, transferred to the German steamer Choising, and eventually reached Yemen. Surviving Bedouin attacks, they reached Constantinople in June 1915, where they were welcomed as heroes. In total, Emden's adventure lasted over 3 months. It sank 16 British steamers, totaling 70,825 gross tons. It also sank the French destroyer Mousquet and the Russian warship Jemchug. The Russian captain and first officer were put on trial for letting the disaster unfold. The Emden's legacy, a mix of daring raids and Müller's gentlemanlike conduct, left a lasting impression on the naval history of World War I. If you're interested in the fate of SMS Königsberg, I created an entire video about that and the largely forgotten raid on Zanzibar Harbour in East Africa. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please leave a like, it really helps out the channel. If there is a topic, battle or person you would like to know more about, let me know your thoughts in a comment. I would also like to thank all my patrons and channel members for their generous support. If you enjoy House of History and you want to support my work, consider joining me on Patreon. For just $1 per month, you will already gain early access to all my videos without any in-video advertisements. Don't forget